Make sure you stick around till the end as I discuss gaslighting and its effects on their victims, as you may be unwittingly one of them.
There's a story in Greek mythology about a young man named Narcissus. Legend has it that this young lad was one of the most beautiful creatures that roamed around ancient Greece. So naturally, Narcissus had many lovers of both male and the female gender. It was ancient Greece after all. By now, you probably gathered that Narcissus, well, he was the original Narcissist. He was incapable of feeling love for anyone except for himself. In his eyes, no one could match his beauty, and therefore he saw himself as better and beyond falling in love with others. He used other people without any remorse, as they would throw themselves at him. One day, Narcissus, he saw his own reflections in a pool of water and he fell in love with himself. He's never seen a more beautiful person other than the reflection that he was looking at. As Narcissus went to touch his reflection in the water, the image, it got distorted. In disbelief of losing the most beautiful sight that he's ever seen, Narcissus lunged into the water and drowned. That's the legend of Narcissus, a guy who was so in love with himself that he had little regard for others, and he went up drowning because, he was an arrogant prick that thought that he was better than others, and hence the term Narcissistic personality disorder was born. According to psychiatrists, it's considered a personality disorder, and it is a diagnosis. If you're going through a divorce, it's the it word, and this word gets thrown around more often than fistfights at a Jerry Springer show. Nah, don't like that analogy? There's a lot of relationship experts that speak of what I call the ultimate dysfunctional relationship, and that's the codependent narcissistic relationship. But there's a problem in the scientific literature because while the narcissist, or better put, a narcissistic personality disorder, or NPD for short, it's well defined and it's an actual diagnosis, the codependent is not, and therefore it doesn't have a strict definition as NPD. Codependent, according to mental health experts, is more of a loose, non-specific term that can be used interchangeably as someone who's an enabler, or someone who's needy, or a rescuer. In 1986, an American psychiatrist, Dr. Timon Cermak, he proposed a list of criteria for proper diagnosis of a codependent personality disorder. And according to his definition, a codependent person is one who continues to stay in an unhealthy relationship at the expense of themselves and others around them. It came down to putting the needs of others before the needs of themselves and the anxiety the codependent undergoes when they're not serving those needs. He also describes the process of enmeshment among the codependent person, which enmeshment is a fancy term to being unable to set up appropriate boundaries with people who have either a personality disorder or a substance abuse disorder. And last, according to the criteria, a codependent person, they don't seek help because they tend to trivialize the actions of the toxic personality. Now that I've addressed the narcissistic and the codependent, here's a second story about how their meeting might undergo. But remember that neither of these parties, neither of them intend on entering a relationship where they're going to be with someone they feel that will lead to a dysfunction. Instead, what they both see instant chemistry. A guy named David starts dating Michelle. And during the courting, David, he finds that Michelle cheated on her ex-husband, and she admits that it was wrong. But she explains, he was cheating too. Michelle is fun and vivacious, and David, he's never dated anybody more magnetic. Plus, she comes across as sincere, articulate, and trustworthy. So he dismisses it. Michelle, on the other hand, is swept up in a dream of true love and is attracted to David because, he gets her. She loves the fact that he makes her feel validated. As time goes, out of nowhere, Michelle throws a tantrum and tells David that, she's having a hard time making ends meet. Her ex, you see, he isn't paying his end of the child support nor alimony, and in many ways, she insinuates to David that now, being her man, that he should be stepping up. David, he's smitten, and they've been together for about 6 months now, so he decides that he is going to help out by contributing to her financially. Plus, he loves Michelle and he wants her to see him as an alpha guy, but at the same time, there's a little part of David that he's afraid that if he doesn't, that he may just lose Michelle. Throughout this time, Michelle, she becomes highly jealous, and David can't have any friends outside of the relationship and gets blamed for cheating regularly. He begins to disconnect himself from the world, and he bends his own boundaries by allowing her to go through his phone because he just wants her to stop these accusations of cheating. One day, Michelle, she loses her job, citing that it was her manager who made a pass on her and therefore she got fired. So David begins further taking on the bills because after all, a happy wife is going to leave him the fuck alone. Plus, he doesn't want to lose Michelle and he'll do anything to hold on to a relationship, including ignoring his own boundaries. The fact that she needs him is even more flattering to him because he feels valued. This is one of the many scenarios of the codependent narcissistic relationship because codependent narcissists, well, they make the ultimate dysfunctional relationship. After sharing with you these two stories, here's some data. I did a very, and I stress very non-scientific poll on what's becoming the fastest growing divorce support group for men on Facebook. And here I asked the question, do you believe that your ex has traits of a narcissist? 60% of men polled yes. Now, one might argue that these are guys that are bitter or just angry and full of hate of their ex, and I'd say that that's a very reasonable assumption. But this group, it's not about bringing up blame or playing the victim. It's about growth and finding your renaissance in a post-divorce world. So I asked a follow-up question. Do you identify yourself as a codependent person? 53% of the respondents answered that indeed, they did find themselves as being codependent. Bottom line is that while these two percentage traits may seem uber inflated, it's hard to deny the parallel that they have as they go hand in hand. By the way, if you're going through a separation or divorce and are looking to grow in your post-divorce world, you can find our group in the link under the comment section underneath. And if you're watching this from Facebook, as nearly 80% of you are, you can just click on the 3 horizontal buttons on your phone, press open on YouTube, and this video will continue. It'll give you the chapters so you could skip around and you can see the comments and therefore the link. Keep it in line with the poll results. It's easy to see that they're highly inflated because it's estimated that 6% of the population has narcissistic personality disorder with 7.7% prevalence in men versus 4.8% prevalence in women. Yet, while the poll results may be unusually high, it's hard to deny that these two traits do run in parallel. So why is that? Why would these two very different traits go hand in hand? Codependent people are people pleasers and they like fixing someone who isn't quite balanced in their emotional makeup. The narcissist, on the other hand, is the taker and the manipulator. So these two very different personalities, they balance each other out. And how does the narcissist manipulate the codependent? Remember that people, they don't start off a relationship with the knowledge that they may be either one trait or the other. They're just dating. The codependent doesn't intend on being in a relationship where they're going to end up with someone that's going to ignore their needs, marginalize them, and treat them as though they're invisible. And the narcissist, well, they're swept up in their dream of true love, and they love how the codependent admires them for their toughness, their self-determination, their edge, and their sensual, seductive ways. These qualities, when projected to the codependent, in the beginning, they seem alluring, sexy, and almost hypnotizing. The chemistry is there until it isn't. The most dangerous part of the narcissist is how freaking magnetic, intelligent, and confident they come across. On the other hand, someone who's codependent loves the idea of being wanted, needed, and they feel better about themselves if they are in a relationship. So when they run into someone so magnetic, it seems like they have their shit together, hey, they hit the jackpot. Once being charmed, the narcissist begins abusing their spouse by gaslighting. The term gaslighting is derived from the 1944 film Gaslight, in which a husband manipulates his wife into thinking that she has a mental illness. If you've never heard what gaslighting is, it sucks because it develops gradually, making it difficult to detect, and it makes you doubt yourself, question your self-awareness, and it's freaking confusing. And anyone, no matter how strong-willed they are, is susceptible to it. And if you don't think that anyone is capable of being manipulated, just tell that to an entire nation. They start by saying negative things about you, indicating your inadequacies, causing you to be defensive initially, but then you start believing it. Gaslighting wouldn't be effective if it was just done every once in a while, but to get total control, one has to constantly maintain their offensive. Gaslighting narcissists will play mind games in order to dominate the relationship and keep everything within their control. If you attempt to call them on their bullshit, they will not only come up with evidence to prove you wrong, but they will come up with evidence to prove themselves right about your inferiority and your usefulness. They will refute the evidence, and the gaslighter will deny, blame, sow doubt, and add more false claims. You will become so confused that you don't know your left from your right. The gaslighter will wear you down and make you feel so low that you start to doubt yourself as you become discouraged, fearful, and debilitated. You question reality, who you are, and whether you're perceiving things properly. In complete transparency, I've done enough videos discussing my vulnerabilities. But remember that poll taken earlier saying that 53% of the guys in the group believe that they're codependent? I wrote no. Looking for acceptance in someone to the point of dependency has never been part of my character. But just the other day, I saw a video of my ex and me at a party, and we weren't fighting, but it was clear that that guy right there in that video wasn't me anymore. I had become inexplicably dependent on my ex, and I glanced at her for acceptance, looking for her approval. I was, as you may be right now, broken. That's because if you're in a gaslight relationship, you'll begin to feel insecure and grow anxious. This leaves you vulnerable to them and having total control and power over you. They grant you acceptance, they grant you respect, they grant you safety and security, and they will often threaten to take it all away. These relationships are based on fear, vulnerability, and marginalization. Examples of gaslighting may include making you second guess your memory as they make up stories of something that you said, or they twist the words of something that you said to their benefit when in fact you didn't say it. Other examples would be trivializing, like saying that you're weak if you feel a particular way, or this happens especially when they're having an affair. A third example of gaslighting is stereotyping you according to your age, gender, or ethnicity. Even sexuality. If you're older, they make comments about your age by calling you an old boring man, even if the age gap is 1 or 2 years different. They know exactly what they're doing as they try to defeat your self-esteem. So please let my final words be a cautionary tale. If you're going through a divorce, the narcissist will treat you with superficial kindness from time to time, and they may even say that they're sorry, but show little to no remorse. This is to give you false hope in the relationship. You might start to believe that things could get better, all while you're still filing for divorce, not seeing your children, and yet you still blame yourself. You will be caught off guard, which allows them to begin the next step of the gaslighting abuse. But know this, that they are reinforcing the codependent relationship even as you're filing. So be careful and look for the evidence and reach out to someone that's objective and search for clues. As with the majority of you, I didn't know I was being gaslighted until after I found out about her affair. I just thought and believed what she told me, that she was leaving me because I had broken her will, when in reality, it was her boyfriend who was breaking it, but I allowed her to project it out on me. I was just a casualty, and I believed her. So, if you learned anything from watching this video, don't forget to press like, subscribe to see future videos that I make, and comment on your story. And if you're going through a separation or divorce, join our Facebook group. The link is in the comment section underneath. Thank you very much.